I'm also the Georgetown Running Club president. Run quite a few races. We do have one coming up, Race to Build, which is March 4th, nice 5K, 10K on the trails. I've done 57 marathons. I'm not like Ed, and I'm just starting my quest of getting, I'm up to 18 states. Ed's done his 50, so I think that's awesome. My problem is I did 22 of them in Texas. And so I can go around 22 times or I have to repeat Texas again here. Just want to let you know that obviously you're getting really close. And even if you've done a marathon before, you're starting to get a little freaked out. You're going to start tapering. You're going to have a lot extra energy that you haven't had because you've been training so much. And it's all normal. And so some of the stuff I'm going to talk about is basically ways to save you time that is legal on the marathon. Basically the first four are going to be items that are things you should be thinking about now, things you should be thinking about before the race. 5 of them are about what you should be thinking about during the race, while it's going on, while it's unfolding, and then finally just a quick post-race talk. So I was here a couple months ago, talked about goals. So goals are always the number one important thing because it's what drives why you're doing what you're doing and the reason that will get you finished. So you should have 3 of them, as I talked about before. An easy one, and that's basically what's going to make you happy. When you cross that finish line, what will make you happy? It could be just finishing. It could be running a time that's what you wanted to do. Then there's the medium goal, which is a little bit harder, and you might not always get that one. That might be a personal best for the marathon. It might be a personal best for that course, which will be hard to do since Austin's a brand new course, so no one's ever run that one this year. And then finally, the stretch goal. And like I explained before, the stretch goal is a goal that you maybe do 3 to 5 times in your entire life. It's got to be that hard. But you want to have those goals because as the race unfolds, all of a sudden things can happen. You say, hey, I actually think I can get that stretch goal if I keep doing this. But you need to have that in your head already programmed, okay? So goals number 1. Number 2, obviously, is your clothing and shoes. You've done lots of training runs, which means what you're used to wearing should be what you race in, okay? The worst thing you can do is to try something new on race day, unless, of course, race day just happens to be a practice race for something else. So you don't go out and get new shoes or new socks. And I'll give you an example just because my wife's here. At the expo, great pair of brand new socks, wore them on race day, and throughout the entire race, they kept sliding down underneath her heel and rubbed the back of her heel completely raw. And actually had a DNF after 5 times stopping because it was blistered so bad. So never, ever, ever get new socks or new shoes for a race. You even have to be careful about tops and things like that. And again, once you find that sock-shoe combination, stick with it. Don't change it up. It's the most crucial thing that you have going on. The other thing is you need to know where you chafe. I mean, straight up, you need to know where it is. You need to make sure, like a lot of times I'll forget, sometimes I chafe a little bit back here, especially if I have something I'm wearing on my back and it rubs back and forth. So you need to make sure you know where that is. Guys, if you haven't figured out how to protect your nipples, I can tell you 2 really good products, Mr. Nipple and Hip Strips, okay? 2 fantastic products. If you've never tried anything, I've done, the wet Band-Aids. They work pretty well, but I've never had any issue with the 2 products I talked about. And they're both available on Amazon Prime. You can have them for the race. That is something you can try new and it'll work just fine, okay? There's nothing worse than seeing someone come in with just blood running down. I mean, because I can't imagine what that shower feels like. I just want to think about it, okay? The other thing to do is make sure you have all your gear out 2 days before. And the reason for that is if you do it, especially on a lot of people, they start getting everything out the afternoon, the night before the race, all of a sudden there's something missing. You thought you had enough goo blocks or cliff blocks or whatever, and you don't. Now you're scrambling. Where do I go? Where can I buy them? What do I need to get? A lot of times you're going out of town for a race. You've already got all that together, so it's not a problem. But definitely get your gear together at least 2 days before. So this one's starting. This is a transitional topic into something you think about beforehand, but you're going to execute it during the race. And that is, you need to create your own mantra. Stress robs you of energy, and we only have a limited supply of energy. And so that's the other part about this leading up to the race. If you're starting to stress out about the weather, you're starting to stress out about your fitness, I can tell you right now, between now and race day, there's absolutely nothing you can do to get more fitness for the race. There are lots of things you can do to have a really bad race between now and then. When you're tapering, you don't decide you're going to start inline skating. Okay? I've had people do that, and so don't do anything new. Enjoy the taper. You've put in a lot of hard work. Enjoy the taper and be ready for it. Really relax the day before. If you're going to the expo on Saturday, do it quick. Don't shop around. Don't get on your feet, and get home and really relax and hydrate. That's what's really important. Matter of fact, when I give this talk, a lot of times I'm actually sitting in a chair to emphasize you need to be resting. That's what can help you the most for race day and hydrating. The real important thing during the race is you need to repeat positive thoughts, and also repeat them leading up to the race. You've trained. There's nothing you can do about saying, oh, I wish I got one more 20-miler in. It's over. You've done a lot of training, you're ready for it, and get it done. And then work on a mantra. And I always tell people, mine that I've been using for years and years is focus up. And it's two things. One, it's a physical thing. When you focus up, you lift the head, which has better posture, which means your lungs are full, you get breathing. The worst thing you can do is see the tops of your shoes. If you are seeing the tops of your shoes, then you've got horrible form, and I call it you're collapsing in on yourself. And when you do that, even doing that, I can feel my hamstrings tighten up. Focus up, physical focus up. When you're looking at hills, you focus at the top of the hill. When you're looking down the road, you look about 100 yards out the road. Yes, you can use your eyes to look down for potholes and obstructions and things like that, but keep the head up, good breathing. Obviously, the other side of that is mental. Focus up. Keep your spirits up. You're focusing up, and I use that all the time. It really helps. And then another one, actually, we talked about, old dogs learning new tricks. One I learned exactly a year ago was in Alabama. I was running, and all of a sudden I could see in the distance this hill we were going to go up. And I thought, all of a sudden, I don't know why it popped in, but I just said, I love hills. And then the whole time I ran up, I said, I love hills, I love hills, I love hills. All the way up. And it really did psychologically help a lot. And now I just use it all the time. So you see it, I love hills. And then all the way up. Don't dread it, because that's what I'm talking about. Stay positive. And you've got to figure out what those mantras are for yourself. So now the next ones are about during the race. What can you do during the race to have a faster time and a more enjoyable experience? And what I call it is passing as a psychological boost. Okay? So what that means is you've got to go out slow and pass at the end. Okay? And I say that again, don't go out too fast. It is the number one mistake. People like me that have been racing since 1974 to someone, this is their first race. It is the number one mistake. You go out too fast. And it's really easy to do at bigger races and also goal races because you are keyed up. There's big crowds, and so there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of excitement, and you really have to keep yourself in check. There's nothing worse than the last 6 miles of a marathon and people are just going by and going by. Because now you're cratering even worse. They're just going by, and you're like, I can't go any faster. I'll give you a great example of DCS. In December, I had a couple athletes that were doing their first marathon. And so I ran out to mile 20, and I ran with them the whole way in from mile 20, and there was not a single person that passed them. They were just slowly passing people, and it was such a boost for them. Just no one came by them. They were feeling stronger and stronger as they went on, and that's definitely the way to run it, run the marathon. Running tangents, you'll hear it all the time, but you can definitely save yourself close to a quarter to a mile just by running the tangents. And what I mean by tangents is you run through the curve. So if I'm turning, if I just came out of a right turn and I see a left turn up ahead, I don't immediately cross over to the left side of the road. You aim at the left turn and you slowly ease your way over to that turn and then make the left turn. Now sometimes in big races you can't do that because there's crowds and everything. And it's also why your GPS is not going to be accurate when you finish. It will probably say 26.4, 26.6, 26.8. Okay, so think about that. Whatever your mile pace is, if you ran a half mile on, let's say you're a 10-minute miler, you just added 5 minutes to your marathon by not running what is the certified course. All certified courses are measured by the tangents, the shortest way on the course. So that's how you need to run it, and that's how you need to think that. And you need to think about it the whole entire time you're running. So a lot of times what I'll do is if I know there is a right turn coming up in the start of the race, I will orient myself on the right side of the course so that I don't have to fight my way from the left over to the right. But run those tangents, because that's a lot of time. 5 minutes for a 10-minute miler is a lot for a marathon, okay? That could be the difference between a Boston qualifier and not making it, okay? So definitely run the tangents. Drinking tips. One of the things that's real important is you don't need to drink 2 cups of water at every water stop. You don't need to down tons and tons of water, especially if it's on a day like today. Okay, if it is super hot, then yeah, you need to do different things, pour water in your head, that kind of stuff. But don't get so focused on, I've got to drink and drink and drink. As you approach the water stop, you need to get a sense for how crowded is it around you. You need to get yourself lined up with the table. You also need to listen. Is water first or is Gatorade first? So it's you go to grab what you think is water, and all of a sudden you got Gatorade, and you don't really want Gatorade. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll grab the Gatorade, I'll transfer it over to my left hand, and then I'll grab water, and then I like Gatorade first, and I like the water second just to wash it down. I don't want the aftertaste in my mouth.
You also don't want to splash the Gatorade in your face.
Yes, and I've had people do it. They got Gatorade and pour it on their head, and now 20 miles, they've got syrup on them. The other thing to do is, and I joke about this, but when you're running and you see the person with the cup that you want, make eye contact. And what I call it is, you're making a bond with that person. I'm going to grab the water from you, I'm not going to spill it on you, and everything is good. And just physically connect there for that brief second. If the cup is a little full, just pour a little bit out. I always pinch the cup. And the nice thing about if you pinch the cup is you can run for quite a while without jostling water out, and it makes a nice little pour. You don't get it up your nose as you jog or run. Really makes a difference. The other thing is look to the curb and try and throw the cups to the side. But obviously don't throw it, and there's a runner right there. But it helps the cleanup, because you're going to find lots of cups strewn all over. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit more on that. The other thing is if you're using goo or gels, those types of foods, the water stop is the only place on the race that you should throw that wrapper down. Okay? The only place. I've worked lots of water stops. It's not much fun pulling up the little tabs and stuff, but it's much easier than going much further down the road having to clean up all of that stuff. The other thing is always thank your volunteers. If it weren't for them, you would be grabbing water off a table if it was there and filled up for you. They make your race faster. All those volunteers make your race faster. So thank them. The other thing is that the best way to learn about how water stops work is volunteer at one. I've done 8 Austin Marathon water stops over the years, and you learn more watching all the crazy things that can happen that you would never even think happens at a water stop by volunteering at them. And I always call it good karma. You get time back when you volunteer at races, trust me, this work. So danger spots. Believe it or not, there are lots of places during a marathon that are extremely dangerous for you as a runner. And the first one is the start. There is a lot of congestion. There's a lot of chaos. You need to place yourself with the pace you plan to run. And the best way to do that is find the person with the sign that says, I'm running a 4-hour marathon, and be right with them, because they're going to place themselves where they should be to start out with people that are planning to do a 4-hour marathon. The other thing is now with chip time in almost every race, see, back in the old days, as soon as the gun started, everyone started running. No matter how far back you were. Now people just kind of casually walk up to the starting mat and then they start running. So when you hear the gun, don't think everyone's just going to take off. They won't. They'll ease up to that starting line. The other thing is that the starting line, like I said, is most dangerous. You don't want to fall. I've seen so many people fall at the starting line. You don't want to have bloody knees, you don't have bloody hands, you don't want someone stepping on you. That's not a great way to start your race, okay? You're not going to have a good marathon falling. And that's the most falls that I see. The second spot, I talked a little bit about water stops, is those are really dangerous because there's lots of congestion. People are veering to one side or the other to get their stopping. That was the one thing I learned when I was pacing my wife at Boston was people actually stop at water stops to drink their water. And if you're not ready for that, then you're going to run right, because you're looking to grab the cup. You're not necessarily looking in front of you. You're not expecting someone to stop in front of you. So think about that. Be ready for that. The other thing is there's lots of wet cups on the ground. It's wet from that. San Antonio in 1997, mile 10. So you remember these mistakes, okay? I reached for a cup, and I turned my body just enough that my feet slid right out from underneath it. So mile 10, and my first thought is I got 60 miles to go. Luckily, nothing was heard. That I kept going, and everything was fine. But water stops, very, very dangerous. Grab the cup, pinch it, like I said, move off to the side, get away from it, then start drinking it, then worry about it. But get away. I always say get into the water stop and get away from it, because that's where all kinds of craziness happens. It just is really bad. Now, the finish line isn't as dangerous, but there are some things you need to think about when you are finished. And trust me, if you've all trained, I tell people, finishing a marathon isn't hard. What's hard is getting to the marathon healthy, to that starting line, okay? Finishing really isn't that hard if you've got the training, you're ready to go, okay? But when you finish, keep walking. There may be people that are like almost about to get their personal best and they're sprinting in, and all of a sudden you hit that finish line and you stop, and then wham, someone comes running in. And so definitely keep walking through. The other thing is that it's amazing to see, but people, when they finish, all of a sudden their brain just says, I'm done, and they collapse. If the finish line was 50 meters further, they would have made the 50 meters further. But something about your brain says, I've done everything you asked me to do, game over, we're done. So if someone says to you, hey, are you all right? And you're not sure, then just say, no, I don't think I am. Because what I'll tell you is this. I'll give you an experience from December of this year. I finished, went to the awards were inside a restaurant, and I was in there drinking some water, and one of the waitresses said, you doing okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And I got my award, and I sat down at another table because I was not feeling great. Another waitress said, you doing okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I had another runner come over, you doing okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And I walked out of the restaurant, and the manager said, are you doing okay? I said, I don't think I'm doing okay, because everyone needs to okay? So EMS came over, my blood pressure was like 70/30, and basically it was a hot day, didn't get enough fluids and that kind of thing. 4 IVs later at the hospital, everything was good. Okay? That is not the way to do it. But again, what I'm trying to say is, if people are asking you, are you feeling it, and you keep hearing it, then you probably aren't looking. Number 9, the best thing about this is, and I talked about a little bit, you've got to stay strong the last part of the race. I like to divide the marathon into thirds. So the first 9 miles, I stay steady. I don't try and go out too fast. I keep it under control. The second 9 miles is when you want to maintain the good spirits. That's usually where the lull comes in the marathon, is in the middle. You start tuning out and you really don't want to keep the spirits good. You might want to start upping the tempo a little bit, especially if you're running negative splits, so the first half slower than the second half. And then, because it's in thirds, actually the last third is shorter because it's only 8.2 miles. So mentally, it's not as long as the first 2 thirds. The best thing about that is you need to visualize that finish line. Every time you start to feel yourself go down, and here's the one thing I promise you, you are going to have highs and lows during the marathon. There's no way you can be high the whole way through. It's a lot of energy, there's a lot of mental focus going on. You will have down parts, and you need to make sure you have those mantras and those positive thoughts, that you will come out of those, because you will come out of them if you continue to think positively about that. The real important thing on the race, you have friends, you have families that want to come and cheer you. Have them cheer the last 4 miles of the race. You don't need people cheering the first half of the race. You absolutely don't need it, okay? Because one, you're keyed up already, and that cheering just makes you run faster than you're supposed to run. And when you see crowds, you need to say that ahead of time. Don't let them make you run faster than you need to. You want to, flash the smile, that's fine, but don't let them. I mean, there's places in a lot of races that especially if you've done them over and over again, hey, when I get to Wellesley College in Boston, those women are going to be screaming. You can't let that just fire you up. You're too far away, okay? Well, that's so know that going in. You hear someone ringing the cowbells and you hear all this noise and stuff. Know that mentally you're going to want to, it's going to lift you up, which is great, but you really need that in the last 4, not the beginning. The most important thing that I like to do on any race I go to is know the last mile. Know it very well. So as soon as you get to that last mile, mentally, it's so much easier. For me, since I'm a track runner, I just say 4 laps to go. One mile to go, 4 laps to go on the track. And I mentally see myself running around the track. I see that tree, okay, I know that tree's a half mile, and so on. Know that last mile, because when you're having trouble thinking that you're going to not make it, when you get to that last mile and you know what you're visualizing, it's not that bad. And it's a huge factor, especially when you're tired. Finally, on the post-race, the best thing you can do is wear that medal proudly. Okay? Put it on. You've accomplished something that lots of people have never accomplished, never will accomplish, never even thought they would even think about doing. And hydrate. Keep trying to ease the fluids in. Don't gulp and gulp. The other thing is be very careful of consuming alcohol, because it is the one thing, one beverage. One beverage, unfortunately, that will not hydrate you. No matter how much beer you consume, it does not hydrate you at all. No beverage whatsoever. Bottle of water, bottle of beer, okay? Bottle of water, bottle of beer. The other thing is keep moving. Even afterwards, just try and keep walking a little bit. The next day, definitely plan that you're going to go for a walk, even an easy jog. It's going to be difficult the next day, but the more you move, the faster you'll recover. If you have compression tights, compression socks, any of that stuff, it helps a lot. It helps with the circulation, helps you recover quicker. And then I would do it even now, up before the race, but schedule a massage. Don't wait till the day after, especially in races in big cities, because all of a sudden all the places are full. Schedule it now. Use it as a reward for yourself. Think about it those last miles. Oh, I can't wait for that massage tomorrow. It's going to be wonderful. That reward to yourself for accomplishing what you did. But definitely massages make a huge difference in recovery. And then the last thing that you really need to think about afterwards is jot down things that went right and things that went wrong.
That's a good idea.
Things that you forgot to pack in your gear bag. Anything like that. It makes a huge difference the next time. And you never know when you'll be called upon to talk to people about what races and things like that. Okay, but definitely think about that. And then last time when I did this, I gave like key takeaways. But what I did, it was a long time ago at Kingwood Fit, is there was a runner that it was their first marathon and I'd helped them along. And so I wrote them a letter. And that's the way we're going to sum it up. Hi Ed, well the big day is almost here. Before the marathon on Saturday, drink lots of water. Pack your bag early just in case you need to buy something before the stores all close. Day of the marathon, I would like to let you know that there are 2 things that will hurt you the most on Sunday. Going out too fast. This is a mistake from the novice to the expert, from the turtle to the hare, and from the inexperienced to the veteran marathoner. Remember this, nothing will hurt your performance more on Sunday and turn your whole marathon experience upside down than going out faster than you should. You are going to be really caught up in the excitement, finally being able to do what you have been preparing for, and possibly running someone else's race. Number 2, not drinking enough water. More miserable marathons are related to dehydration. There's no need to down cup after cup of water, though at every stop. Just get some water in you. Powerade is good too, but the water is more important. When you finish, and oh, by the way, you will finish, remember, your family has put up with a lot these last few months. So even though you might feel awful when you finish, smile and remember the family. Hint, hint. If you pay attention to the 2 items above, you'll have fun, you'll finish strong, and be much happier marathoner at the end. Day after the marathon. On Monday, move as much as you can, go for a walk, run. The more you move, the faster you will heal. Get a massage, find a new goal. Best of luck to you, focus up, you gotta run, Bill. Okay? So good luck to you all. If you ever have any questions about something I said or whatever, you can always just email me, bill@noexcusesrunning.com, bill@noexcusesrunning. So,
I have one question.
sure.
Can you give some advice on how to start out slow because of all the excitement, because of all this adrenaline? That I know is one of the biggest pitfalls.
The best way now is to find that pace leader. That is the best way. You don't have to think. That's why I tell people, if you're worried about pacing a marathon or you have a goal of a time, just go with the pace leader. They are there. I can tell I pace marathons a lot now, and we as pace leaders, we are not allowed to pace a marathon at a, let's just say I'm a 4-hour marathoner, then I have to have at least 3 or 4 marathons at 3:40. We don't pace more than 20 minutes faster than our fastest marathon, okay? So those pacers are going to pace you. They will start out easy. Most of them will actually run negative splits, okay? So find the pacer. If whatever your goal time is, find that pacer. That is the best way I can tell you. Now, if a marathon doesn't have a pacer, then you need to kind of put yourself, again, since you're using chip time, it doesn't matter how far back you are, but the problem is you don't want to start out where there's a lot of slower runners in front of you, because then you're zigzagging. And the problem with zigzagging is all of a sudden you're moving sideways. Well, guess what? We've been training to run straight. And all of a sudden you hit to the right, and next thing you know, now you've tweaked something. And you don't want to do that at the beginning, but find a pace leader. The other thing is, a lot of people, you've been training together. This is what the women did at BCS, is 3 of them, they're going to run together, but they had an agreement at mile 20, if someone's feeling good, then they're going to leave the group, and there's nothing wrong with that, to have that agreement. Also, if someone's starting to drop off at 15, and you're encouraging them, the agreement needs to be, you're having a bad race, we're going on, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, because there are bad races, and they have nothing to do sometimes with your training. It could just be, you may have an illness coming on you don't know about, stress at work, family, whatever. So don't take that as, oh, it's a bad race because I didn't train enough. There's lots of things that can happen. Any other questions real quick? That was a good one though, because I'm telling you, you're gonna go out too fast if you don't think about it. It will happen, and you can't regroup. Once you've gone too far, when I call it, especially if you've gone anaerobic, there's no way to recover from it. It's zapped a lot of sugar that you really need later in the race. Keep in mind, you have about 2,000 calories of sugar in you at all times. Hence why around mile 20, you hit the wall. If you aren't getting some type of calories into you, then you're going to be about 600 calories short of making it. Okay? So remember that. That's why it's things like Powerade or just have some little calories in them to help on boosting those.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Good luck to all of you.